I think from a network automation perspective, we are essentially where physical manufacturing was in around 1850, 1860, right? Like we are primed for the second industrial revolution. And what I mean by that is if you look at like the way things were manufactured in the early 1800s versus the late 1800s, in the US, but also in the UK and around the world to some degree, before this revolution, everything was handmade and handcrafted, right? Rifles are one of the examples. I don't necessarily love war or killing people, but it's a really good example of kind of manufacturing because it was going on a lot at that time. And, rifles were actually, there was a craftsman involved in every step of manufacturing a rifle to the point where when pieces came out of like the forge or the stand, whatever there was machines involved in helping make the rifles. But when the piece came out, it would have to be like filed and polished, and like there was a hands-on process of like really crafting this thing to fit together. And so when you put a rifle together, if you took that rifle apart, you had to put it back together with the exact same parts, or they wouldn't fit. Even two rifles made by the same company on the same day, if you took them apart and swapped the parts, you could not make it work because every piece was like handcrafted and bespoke. And I think, hopefully, in this analogy, you're starting to hear like the way that we design networks. Every engineer on the CLI configures things slightly differently. Maybe they're literally following the same architectural plan, but they're using a slightly different way to do that in the syntax. And so these things are a little bit different. They don't quite fit together, right? And I think that's where we're at. And so I think standardization and automation are the next steps. And I think as we do that, we'll see, potentially a big shift in networking across the board.